I cannot count how many times in the first few weeks, maybe even months, I said out loud to some of my like closest friends, their husband, like, I am living a dream. This is a freaking dream. This is a freaking dream. Like that I have an assistant helping me is like I truly was like opened emotional experiences of excitement that I have not felt in a very, very, very long time.
Hey, Kelsey, thanks for joining me on today's edition of the Dream Support Podcast or YouTube channel, wherever this is hitting. But Kelsey, I wanted to kind of introduce you to other clients and other people who might listen to this and watch this because a couple of reasons. Number one, you represent a set of people that we work with, which are licensed therapists, and also another set, which are multi-passionate, sort of entrepreneurial type people, and you kind of do both.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell me and anyone who watches or listens to this a little bit about those pursuits?
Yes. So I have my private practice, here in Fresno, and I have an associate marriage and family therapist working for me now, which is exciting. And we see probably about, I would say between the two of us, we probably have about 40 to 50 clients on our caseload total. And so that's my full-time job, if you will. And then my other side full-time gigs, really are. Yeah, the entrepreneurial side of things, I think I'm kind of constantly thinking about ways that I can build some passive income streams so that I can make more money without working more hours, and really trying to get out of the box of exchanging hours for dollars. I care about spending time with my family. We have Phineas, who turns 4 in April. We'll probably want to have another baby, Lord willing, in a couple of years. And so I'm always thinking like 2 to 5 years in the future of like, what am I setting up? What is that season going to look like? How am I going to get the most out of now, but also set myself up to get the most out of then? So I knew that was one of the things, the passive income stream, finding a way to do that in a way that I feel really passionate about was important to me, but I knew that is going to take more hours in the immediate to build that. And so that's kind of what that was one of the biggest things for me that thought led me to you guys and wanting to bring on some extra help for that. And then of course there's all the extra things like our coffee pop-up business, Bear and Mare Coffee. My husband has his business, and so there's a lot of hats for both in ministry.
Yeah. So you mentioned a bunch of things right there. You mentioned your full-time thing. You recently stepped down from being a executive director of another organization. That was not the pop-up coffee stuff, because you guys have a dream of actually opening a physical space someday, right?
Yes.
And so you're building that sort of awareness, brand, experience, all that stuff now. But you guys are doing that in your home, right? Is that
We do, yeah, we do them. We've done them in someone else's, like my mother-in-law's house once, and then we invite people to our home and just turn it into a coffee shop. And then we've done a couple like mobile pop-ups, for like a school's trunk or treat and for a baby shower. So we just love coffee. So that's been fun. This has created more opportunities for us to kind of dial in ourselves and learn about that. But yeah, one day we would love to have a coffee shop. We don't have a timeline on that dream, which I really appreciate that it's one of those dreams that we're getting to kind of just enjoy the ride and take it slow and not, put any pressure on it. Like we don't have a pop-up scheduled for December, and we're good with that. We will have a launch party coming up in January or February at the latest. So that'll be fun to kind of have the official, everyone come, let's party.
Yeah, cool. And then your husband has construction, renovation, handyman business.
Yes. Yeah, he and his brother do that, A&M Garcia.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And they're coming to our house in a week from today, I think
Oh,
it is.
fun. He mentioned that. I didn't know when the job was going to be, but that's exciting.
Yeah. We just have some things that need. We have a list really that's very long of
Uh-huh.
things that we want to
Like a
do or need
honeydew
to
list
do.
kind of thing.
It's a little bit more than a honeydew list.
Okay.
Uh, First of all, this honey don't do those lists, so it's it's a little bit more than that. We're doing some permanent like light install
Nice.
uh, for Christmas lights. Or
Oh, cool. They love those. They love doing this.
you've been working with your assistant Lydia for a while now.
Hmm.
I'd love to know kind of how that started and how it's going now.
Okay. Let's see. How long has it been? We're in December, so and I think she didn't actually start till October. But I had like it's as if she had already started with me in my brain like in August, I feel like. Because that's when I originally had intended to start with her, right? And then I had to push it back once, had to push it back once more, and then she finally I was able to have her start. So it's only been a couple of months, but I feel like I've known her for a year. That's how I think just how quickly we've been able to like get into a flow and get dialed in with each other. I remember in like the first couple of weeks, maybe the first week, it not longer than the second week, that she had we were kind of still in the process of, me getting her like my logins and like access to all of my stuff and like let's just clean up the mess a little bit, get things synced, calendars, like all of that, getting on the same page. And she had said, um, oh gosh, how did she word it? Basically, she mentions the kind of this process of like typically there's usually like it goes trust, rhythm, and then are you aware of this? There's the third
I think
word she
she
said.
I think she had her own words she was using.
Okay, I loved it. I loved it though. I
Yeah.
wish that I could remember it right now. But her point that she was making was that sometimes um that the trust building could take a little bit longer, because it's someone that you don't know and you're bringing them in. She said we've almost started with like an assumed established trust, and that's actually helped things move along really fast. And I just thought, well, that's cool, yeah, I guess that's true. We have, because from day one, I was like, here's everything, here are my passwords, I trust you, like you're here for a reason, I need help, and so we were able to kind of get into a rhythm and a flow very quickly. um, I I I cannot count how many times in the first few weeks, maybe even months, I said out loud to some of my like closest friends or husband, like, I am living a dream. This is a freaking dream. This is a freaking dream. Like that I have an assistant helping me is like I truly was like opened emotional experiences of
Mm.
excitement that I have not felt in a very, very, very long time. And I just kept saying that. I was just like, this is a dream. Like, I would be driving and I don't know about you, but so many things come to my mind when I'm driving of all times in the day. Like, I can't do anything about this right now because I'm operating a vehicle. And so
Right.
that was one of the first moments that really changed, that felt like this I'm living a dream experience. And it's so simple, but it was so impactful for me, of being able to pick up my phone and send her an audio message and be like, hey, can you add this to my calendar on this day? And also, we need to get a list for this. And then I want to make sure we talk about this project. And she just texts me back. She's very, very prompt with her responses. And she's like, yep, got it, done, calendar done. And I was just like, wow, how did I live without this
So
before?
this is what it's funny because this what you're describing was the promise we were sold of Siri years ago when it first came out. Do you remember this commercial?
I don't
So
remember.
they're running on the Embarcadero in San Francisco, and they have the wired
I
air.
don't.
and there's the little microphone on the thing, and they like reach up and press it. I think if I remember right, I think they reach up and press the little mic thing,
Yeah.
and like, add this to my calendar, book me this, all that kind of stuff. And certainly there are tools that almost live up to those standards these days. But this is a person who can understand the nuances of what you're saying and
Yes.
go the extra mile,
Yes.
not just add this to my calendar. Because I speak to Siri, hey, add this to my calendar, whatever. And it does that, but it doesn't do all the other details that I need it to do also
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
top of it.
Definitely.
But
I remember the week of my husband's brother, Aaron, was getting married at the beginning of November. So this was just 1 month in, for she actually it was only like 3 weeks in because it was the bachelorette weekend for my at the time soon to be sister-in-law. And she and I were working on a pretty big, like really trying to roll out kind of a pretty big project that we were doing, which is um the idea of these like therapeutic experiences. Like really want to do this like therapeutic day trip to Monterey where I take a car full of, ladies and kind of create this space for mindfulness and connection and self-reflection and stuff. And so that is one of the biggest things that Lydia is so helpful with creating, like all the systems, doing the research, getting the web page ready, all the things for that. I didn't actually end up doing it yet. We decided to postpone the date to spring, but it was in this week that she knew how important it was to me for this to be live by Friday. But she also knew that Friday that was the first day of the bachelorette weekend, and I was the matron of honor. And so this is just a good example of those nuanced things, because I think it was come Wednesday that she was waiting to hear back from someone for me that connected to the website. So she was going to be waiting on, there was a domino effect, where I had texted this guy, hey, can you get this information to Lydia? And I told her, okay, I let him know he's going to get it to you. And she's just able to send me a text later in the day, like, hey, so if I don't hear from him, by what point would you like me to let you know? Because I know you're going to be busy on Friday with Bachelorette, and I don't want you to have to be thinking about this. So it's just the little things and those are the things where I turn and tell my husband, I'm like, this is so nice. Like someone who just has like my dreams as a priority and knows what I'm feeling and, thinking ahead for me, because I'm constantly thinking ahead for everyone else. And so she's thinking ahead for me. And that's just a really cool experience. But Siri couldn't do that. No, Siri couldn't have remembered that I was going to be at a bachelorette weekend,
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's really great. It's really useful for a lot of things, but there's just a personal aspect that it's not really there.
Right.
Not really.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned this thing. So tell me a little bit about these experiences you're going to be rolling out.
Yeah, so the Monterey day trip is the kind of the main, kind of the big one right now. I have also contemplated something more local, kind of having like a half day intentional, like therapeutic experience. It's not therapy. It's not even necessarily like true group therapy. It's really, I don't know a better way to say it other than like a therapeutic experience or kind of almost wellness event, but does have more of a therapeutic component than just a wellness event. So, I love the idea of it because I do enjoy the one-on-one sessions. I also really enjoy, kind of expanding the capacity of relationship with people or getting to operate in a different capacity for people and create these moments that can foster connection between the people who are attending. And so in the past, I did a guided journaling event at a coffee shop. That was really fun. Um, so that's kind of where we were starting to head. And I do still have that. We have officially kind of moved it to the back burner because we're kind of going into overdrive with now moving up on the priority list this kind of digital product that I'm working on building. And that'll be, again, something therapeutic that's in the very early stages, but I'm really excited about it. And I know that I'm definitely going to need Lydia's help. So those are all kind of the fun things coming in 2025, which I'm really excited. I just can't even imagine how I'm going to be feeling this time next year. Like what will have happened by then. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. That'll be really interesting. And so, uh, are there other examples of people doing these experiences? Do you know other people doing something like very
Yes.
similar?
I have heard of a couple of people, but in Southern California. So I'm not really aware of anyone in the Central Valley that's doing that. There's this one guy, I think he's called like the Angry Therapist or something like that, on Instagram. He's a very big following actually. He's written a couple books at least. He does these like immersive day in LA kind of like, I'm going to help you, but we're going to get out there in the real world and like do life together for a day. And they just kind of get really deep, and they're these really high ticket, because they're high value, high investment experiences
Right.
for individuals there. And then there's another group of girls, I think all therapists. I'm not sure if any of them have a different title, but I think there's at least like 2 to 3 of them, but they put on more of like a retreat experience, like sound baths, like wellness side, therapeutic connection, self-reflection, in these like out of town mountains area. Yeah.
I wonder if you could also look at, and you can say no, I don't want to do something like that, but look at like a partnership with somebody who has experienced business, and then
Mhm.
integrate your component and their component. Like I'm thinking about this paddleboarding person here
Mm,
local in Fresno, and
mhm,
they do paddleboarding, and they do like you know uh, yoga paddleboarding
mhm.
sessions or different things like that,
Yeah.
and they go out on the lake or they go out on the river,
Yeah.
and so there's sort of a crossover of
Yes.
people that you could be interacting with and
Yes.
expanding.
Yeah. So there have, now that that does bring to my mind, there have been a couple of kind of experiences here where there was like a journaling vision board night with also like one of the flower companies where you could make a bouquet, like stuff like that. Um, and for the local area, I had thought about that place. I haven't been there myself, but I think it's called Good Dirt, and it's like a pottery experience place. So different things like that have come to my mind, and maybe trying to collaborate and kind of integrate these, you know, experiences that really have, pretty much anything can have like a metaphorical meaning to someone's life and what they're carrying and stuff. So I thought that would be really cool. Paddleboarding's a good idea.
Yeah, it's just their name is Golden Light Paddle, and
Okay.
they've got a pretty big
Right.
or a pretty good
Cool.
uh yeah following on Instagram.
Nice. Yeah,
Uh, and they do experiences like I think almost every weekend, but they also go other places. Like they're doing something in Montana. I think they're taking a group to
oh.
Montana in May, June.
Oh,
So,
wow. That sounds like an
they do a lot.
excursion.
Yeah, they do a lot of stuff.
That's cool.
Uh,
I'll have to check them out.
yeah.
Golden
So if
Light.
you could say, like, you know, working with Lydia as your EA has been, I don't want to put like a scale on you, but it has been really great or it's been pretty good. I mean, you're already kind of in the positive realm. So like where would you say in there, and where's there room for maybe some improvement, or are you facing any challenges, anything like that?
Okay. As far as my experience with her and having her as my EA, not to be dramatic, but it's probably, I would say that it's so great I could cry out of just pure happiness on like any given day. I'm not exaggerating. I'm really not. As far as like the difficulties or challenges, I just need to get to the place where I can have her for longer than 5 hours week because I just have too much. I just have too much, to do, but I really appreciate her. I remember in the beginning me feeling a little bit nervous, like kind of feeling I didn't necessarily have control over knowing how long it would take her to do anything. So what does this actually look like? I don't actually know. And I remember kind of asking her in the beginning, like, how am I supposed to know, like, how much time you have left? And I don't really remember how she answered that, but I do remember that I stopped feeling nervous about it, and it wasn't a problem. It didn't become a problem, and I think she just communicates very well, like where she's at and what she'll be able to accomplish. And we've gone through the communication growth. We do have really good communication. Some of the communication growth has been me needing to make sure that I'm clear if there's something that I would like us to be able to accomplish by a specific day, and not assuming that if I mention that she is going to get that done by the end of the week, because she is managing all kinds of things for me. So that's been helpful, for me to hear that, but we give feedback to each other really well, in my opinion. I mean, I can't really speak for her, but yeah, really just the time is the challenge, because I just have more to do than we can fit in the week, but I'm really impressed at how much she seems to accomplish each week. I don't ever have a feeling of like needing to check in on her or anything like that. I just we have already experienced each of us being sick one time, so we had that in two separate times, where I let her know, hey, I'm sick, so probably not going to get much of a response, and I still was able to send like audio messages and stuff. But then I think this week she's a little under the weather, so she let me know too, like, hey, I am sick. I'm like, okay, I'm like, no worries, and so it's been good. Yeah, just the time. I just want more time.
Yeah. And what's really great about the assistants we have is that they get even more efficient over time, because obviously the more you do something, the more efficient you become.
Mhm.
And so one of our like secrets to people we don't hire are people who are used to jobs where they can just sort of stretch out the work.
Mhm.
Like
Yes.
a lot of government jobs are this way, where it's just like, I'm just going to stretch out the work. There's a lot of jokes about
Yes.
Caltrans and things like that people make, and sort of work ethic and things.
And-
And I don't know that they're true, but that is kind of a little bit about, uh, we're watching out for that. We're mindful for that, because we want
Yeah.
people who are driven to accomplish things, not
Mhm.
people who just want to sit around and sort of,
Yes.
passively let things happen and
Right. Right.
all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
we're very focused on active support and helpful support, not passive support.
Yeah.
So that's some of the keys that we're always looking for.
I feel that. I mean, it's encouraged me to get more done in my week, to be honest, because I just see how much she gets done. And I kind of think to myself, she's going to see what I get done or what I leave on my calendar for like 3 weeks. Let's not do that, and just having like the moral support in that area, like just kind of that accountability or feeling of like someone is here with me. I'm not alone. I don't have to get paralyzed and overwhelmed for how much that I don't do anything. So that's helped too in some of those conversations where it's not going to be her task, but I'm just telling her, like, can you put this on my calendar somewhere in the morning? Let's just call it do the hard work, and I'm going to get it done. I'm going to tell you on Friday that I finished it. So we've had a couple of those ones too. That's been helpful.
Yeah, there's a phrase, I can't remember what book it's from, but there's a phrase called "eat the frog," and it's like,
Yes.
do like the really hard thing, the first thing in the
Yes.
day, and get that boulder out of your mind, and
Yeah.
then you move on to the other stuff.
Mhm.
That's a huge principle. I think that's really helpful.
Yeah.
For me too, with my assistant Paige, I feel a responsibility to be like ready with
Mhm.
the information and like to talk through the things that I need her to be doing
Mhm.
when we meet on Mondays.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, before that, I'm prepping for that. And I'm like, okay, we're going to meet and I want it to be productive and I want us to move forward on things. So I have to
Yeah.
get some things in order.
Yeah.
Uh, And sometimes I'm not as ready for that meeting, and so I have to take some of that meeting to like talk through things and kind of get in order
Yeah.
with her. And so sometimes I'm very prepared and sometimes I'm not. And that's just how life goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel a responsibility to be as prepared as I can for that.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I just really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me about this stuff because it's valuable for me to hear how your experience is. It's valuable for people to listen to how they might work with an assistant if they're thinking about doing something like that. So, what I guess last question is, if you were to sort of talk right to the person that you were before you made the jump, you were thinking about making the jump to adding Lydia to your team here, what
Mm-hmm.
would you say to yourself?
That is a good question. I think that I would probably say, um, I know that it's a risk, and risks feel nerve-wracking for a reason because they're risks, but you genuinely do not have to feel as overwhelmed as you feel. Like there are options, and you care about what you're trying to do, and you care about doing it well, and this risk is for that purpose. And so it's worth it. And you're worth it. That's probably what I would say.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Now, why do you add to the end of that? You add, you're worth it. What does that do for you? What is that?
I think because so much of what I do, is very personal. It's all like really mine, I mean, as given to me by the Lord, I believe. And I think that it can be easy to get caught in this I don't know the word I would use, but it's easy to get stuck in this place of like, I just need to figure this out. Like, I just need to do it, and this is what I've chosen to do, and I don't need to spend money because I need to try to keep the money, and I need to get this done because that's going to help these people, and I need to go do this. And it's just thinking about everything else, and kind of disregarding yourself in the way that you're feeling while trying to make that happen, while trying to make those things happen. And you're just not going to get to the next level in any of those areas without actually pausing and thinking about how you're doing. Because if you're not doing well already, like, how are you going to move anything forward and keep doing well, let alone feel better? Like, I want to feel better. I want you to feel better. I want to be healthier. And so if I'm already feeling overwhelmed and maxed out and I'm trying to move things forward, it just seems like there's this tug of war, and so that's where the risk comes in, and it's scary because it just feels like it's one or the other, but I think really as we pause and look at ourselves and look at how can you feel better, how can you be healthier, how can you have more space and freedom, there's actually freedom for everything. Like I just think then we get access to like full abundance. Jesus said that he came so we could have life abundant, and then you feel that abundance, not just in the things you're moving forward, but also for you. That's what this experience has been like.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I really think that that's valuable for people to hear. I think it's valuable for people to think of getting help, as an investment in
Mhm.
themselves,
Mhm.
whether that's, executive assistant help or mental health help or whatever it is. I think it's an investment in themselves and allows them to be more of the person they want to be
Yes.
and get closer to the things that they're, in their working genius rather
Mhm.
than trying to do everything themselves,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
which is a recipe for burnout, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Been there a few times. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
awesome. Well, thank you so much again for spending some time with me
Yes.
and pulling over and having a conversation in the parking lot.
Of course.
And I hope that something you said inspire somebody else to take a step towards their own investment in their own health in some way.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
God bless, and thanks for hanging out with me.
All right. Thanks, Micah. Bye.